It was a bright, sunny afternoon, and Anna and her father, Kevin, decided to take a walk through their favorite park. The air was crisp, and the birds chirped cheerfully in the trees. As they strolled along the path, Anna's dog, a brave golden retriever named Buddy, trotted alongside them, wagging his tail happily. Up ahead, they spotted a young boy, around the same age as Anna, playing near the edge of the woods. His laughter echoed through the trees as he chased a butterfly. Anna waved at him, but her attention was soon drawn elsewhere. Suddenly, the peaceful atmosphere was shattered. Out from the thick underbrush, a wild coyote emerged. Its eyes locked onto the boy, and it began to creep closer, its growls barely audible at first. Anna's father, Kevin, immediately noticed the danger and shouted, "Anna, get back!" But before they could react, the coyote lunged at the boy. Without hesitation, Buddy, Anna's loyal dog, sprang into action. With a loud bark, he charged toward the coyote, positioning himself between the wild animal and the boy. Buddy's presence startled the coyote, but it wasn't enough to stop it. In a flash of movement, Buddy leapt onto the coyote, knocking it back and forcing it to retreat into the woods. Anna's heart pounded in her chest as she watched in awe. Buddy had risked his own safety to protect the boy. As the danger passed, the boy, who had been frozen in fear, looked up and saw Buddy standing tall, guarding him. Anna ran to check on the boy, who was shaking but unharmed. Thank you so much," the boy said, his voice trembling. "Your dog saved my life." Anna smiled and patted Buddy on the head, who wagged his tail in return, as if he understood the gratitude in the boy's words. Kevin bent down and patted Buddy's head as well. "Good boy, Buddy. You're a true hero," he said with a proud smile. Buddy, ever humble, simply wagged his tail and looked up at Kevin, as if to say, "Just doing my job, sir." Anna and her father walked the boy back to his family, who had heard the commotion and rushed over to check on him. As they walked, Anna kept Buddy close by her side, her heart swelling with pride. Her dog had done more than just protect a boy. He had saved a life. Buddy wasn't just a pet. He was a hero. The sun had barely set when news of Buddy's brave act began to spread like wildfire. Word reached the park rangers, and soon families all over the neighborhood were talking about the golden retriever who saved a young boy. Anna and Kevin were sitting on their porch that evening, sipping hot chocolate. Buddy rested by Anna's feet, his tail gently wagging. "Do you think everyone will know what Buddy did?" Anna asked, her eyes wide with wonder. Kevin chuckled. "I think they already do." The next morning, when they returned to the park, several families approached them, smiling and pointing at Buddy. "That's the dog, the one who saved the boy," a little girl exclaimed, hugging her own puppy tightly. A park ranger approached them, crouching down to pet Buddy. "We owe you one, Buddy," he said kindly. "You're a real hero, and heroes deserve medals." Anna beamed with pride. Buddy barked once, as if to say, "Just doing my job." The next day, something unexpected happened. A shiny news van pulled up at the edge of the park. Out stepped a camera crew and a cheerful reporter with a big smile. "Are you Anna?" she asked, kneeling down. "We've heard some amazing things about your dog, Buddy. Mind if we talk to you both on camera?" Anna's eyes lit up. She looked at Kevin, who nodded proudly. Buddy sat next to Anna as the camera rolled. The reporter held a microphone and smiled. "So, Anna, how did Buddy know what to do?" Anna grinned, hugging Buddy's neck. I think he just knew someone needed help. Buddy's really smart and really brave. Buddy barked once, perfectly on cue. Everyone laughed. The crew snapped pictures, and Buddy even got to wear a tiny bow tie for the shoot. He's a natural, the reporter said. This story is going to touch a lot of hearts. Anna looked at Buddy with pride in her eyes. Mine's already full, she whispered softly. The morning after the interview, the park felt different. It wasn't just a place for walks or picnics anymore. It felt like a place where something special had happened and could happen again. Anna skipped along the path, Buddy trotting beside her, tail swaying like a happy little flag. Kevin followed behind, sipping his coffee and smiling at the sight of them. "Dad," Anna said suddenly, turning around, "what if we helped Buddy become like a real park protector? Like, not just today, every day." Kevin raised an eyebrow. "You mean like a patrol?" "Exactly," she said, eyes shining. "We could call it Buddy's Park Patrol. He could help keep the park safe and happy." Kevin laughed softly, but the idea stuck. Later that afternoon, Anna drew a badge on a piece of cardboard with crayons. She colored it gold, wrote "Official Park Hero" in bold letters, and tied it around Buddy's collar with a ribbon. Buddy sat perfectly still while she worked, almost like he understood. "You look amazing," she whispered when she was done. So official. As they strolled through the park that evening, something unusual caught Buddy's attention. He stopped, ears twitching. Then he darted into a thick patch of bushes. "Buddy!" Anna called out, hurrying behind him. Inside the bushes was a toppled trash bin, scattered food wrappers, broken glass, and a frightened baby squirrel trying to climb out of a deep plastic container. "Oh no," Anna whispered. "It's stuck." Buddy didn't bark. He gently nudged the container with his nose, tipping it just enough for the squirrel to scramble free. The tiny creature paused for a second, almost like it was saying thank you, before it darted off, up a nearby tree. Kevin reached them just in time to see the little tail disappear among the branches. "Well," he said, kneeling to pet Buddy, "looks like our patrol just made its first rescue." Anna smiled, wiping a tear from her cheek. "I think Buddy was born for this," she said softly. And Buddy, sensing the quiet emotion in her voice, gently rested his head against her side. It was a warm Saturday afternoon when Anna clipped on Buddy's leash and straightened his patrol badge. "Ready for duty, Officer Buddy?" She grinned. Buddy gave a cheerful bark and nudged her hand, like he always did when he was excited. The park was bustling. Kids flying kites, couples sharing ice cream, joggers waving as they passed. People recognized Buddy now. Some smiled, some gave little waves, and one elderly man even saluted. "Keep up the good work, officer," he chuckled, tipping his hat. Anna beamed. Buddy's fame was growing, but she still saw him the same way. Her best friend. They were halfway through the patrol trail when Buddy stopped. His ears perked, his tail stiffened. Something was wrong. "Buddy?" Anna asked, sensing it too. Buddy tugged the leash and pulled toward the trees. Kevin, just a few steps behind, caught up quickly. "What is it, boy?" That's when they heard it, a faint, whimpering sound. Following Buddy, they found a small trail of paw prints in the mud, tiny and shaky. Buddy followed them straight to a thicket near the playground fence. Hidden behind a bush was a little brown puppy, trembling, dirty, and clearly lost. "Oh, you poor thing," Anna whispered, crouching down. The pup backed away at first, but Buddy stepped forward slowly, lying down to appear smaller. He let out a low, gentle whine, soft and inviting. The puppy paused, then cautiously stepped forward, nuzzling Buddy's face. "You're amazing," Anna whispered. "You made him feel safe." Kevin dialed the park office. Soon, a small group of park staff and neighbors gathered around. One woman gasped, "That's Max. He belongs to the Bakers. They've been putting up posters all week." Moments later, the Bakers arrived, teary-eyed, grateful, hugging Anna and thanking Buddy over and over. "You're a real hero," said Mrs. Baker. "Both of you." One of the rangers stepped forward with something shiny in her hand. "For extraordinary service to the community," she smiled, "we present this special Park Helper pin to Anna." Anna's eyes widened as she took the pin. She looked at Buddy and whispered, "I couldn't have done it without you." Buddy wagged his tail once, then gently licked her cheek. The crowd applauded. That night, as they walked home, under the setting sun, Kevin put his arm around Anna. "I'm proud of you," he said. "You and Buddy. You're doing something really special." And in the golden light of evening, the patrol walked on, ready for whatever came next. A few days after the rescue of Max the puppy, Anna and Buddy were back at the park, patrolling like always. But something was different. Buddy kept stopping near the tall oak trees. He sniffed the air, circled a bench, then sat completely still, ears twitching, nose pointed upward. "What's up, Buddy?" Anna asked, curious. Suddenly, a tiny face peeked out from a knot in the tree trunk, 2 bright eyes, and the twitch of a nose. It was a squirrel, but not just any squirrel. It was the same baby squirrel Buddy had rescued from the trash trap days ago. "You remember him?" Anna asked, kneeling beside Buddy. The squirrel chirped softly and climbed down a few branches, holding something in its little paws, a piece of a granola bar. It dropped it right in front of Buddy. Kevin, watching from a nearby bench, laughed. "Looks like he's trying to say thank you." Buddy gently sniffed the granola piece, then nudged it back. The squirrel picked it up again, chattered, then climbed down and placed it right on Buddy's paw. "That's it," Anna said. "He's saying thanks. That squirrel's name should be Nibbles." From that day forward, Nibbles became part of the patrol. Every time they came to the park, Nibbles would appear, either dropping from a branch or scurrying up behind them. Sometimes he'd perch on Anna's shoulder. Other times, he'd ride on Buddy's back like a tiny furry captain. One day, a small group of kids gathered to watch the patrol. "Is that squirrel trained?" one asked. "Nope," Anna smiled, "just smart and grateful." Soon kids began leaving snacks for Nibbles. One boy even made a tiny red vest and left it near the tree. The next day, Nibbles was wearing it. Buddy barked once. Everyone laughed. A few days later, a chalkboard sign appeared near the main trail. "Meet the Park Patrol, Buddy, Anna, and Nibbles." It was drawn in colorful chalk, with a doodle of each of them. Someone had even added a tiny badge to Nibbles's vest in the picture. That evening, as the sun dipped low, the trio sat near the pond. Anna leaning on Kevin, Buddy curled at her side, and Nibbles resting on his back, tail flicking lazily. "Best team ever," Anna whispered, and Buddy barked twice, like he agreed completely. It started out like any other patrol day. The breeze was light, the sky was clear, and the park was full of life. But something didn't feel right. Buddy sensed it first. As they neared the large picnic field, he stopped in his tracks, sniffing the air with intense focus. His ears went up, and his muscles tensed. "Buddy?" Anna asked, stopping mid-step. "What is it?" Nibbles, who was riding in the pouch of Anna's jacket today, popped his head out too, wide-eyed and alert. Then they heard it. Crash. A sharp, sudden sound from behind the picnic tables, like something had fallen. Hard. Kevin caught up quickly. "Stay close," he said, placing a hand on Anna's shoulder. They crept toward the picnic area, Buddy leading, his posture low and alert. As they got closer, they saw the scene: overturned baskets, scattered food, and a bag moving on its own. "What in the world?" Kevin muttered. Buddy let out a low growl. Not aggressive, but cautious. He approached slowly, sniffed around the bag, then barked once, loud and clear. The bag twitched, and from inside popped a pair of wide, frightened eyes. A boy, about Anna's age, tumbled out, shaking and crying. His clothes were muddy, and he clutched a torn kite string in his hand. Anna rushed forward, but stopped short, unsure. The boy looked terrified. "Hey," she said gently, "are you okay?" He nodded slowly, but didn't speak. Kevin knelt beside him. "What happened?" The boy whispered. "I lost my kite. It flew into the woods. I went to find it, and I heard growling. I ran and tripped. I thought something was chasing me." Buddy sniffed the boy's clothes and immediately darted off toward the trees. Anna and Kevin followed, Nibbles now scampering behind them like a furry shadow. Buddy led them to a dense thicket. Just inside, they spotted it. A shredded plastic bag stuck in the branches, fluttering in the wind like a ghost. It must have been the sound that spooked him. "There's your monster," Kevin said with a smile, lifting the torn bag off the branches. Back at the picnic field, the boy's parents had arrived, frantic and out of breath. When they saw him, safe and sound, they hugged him tightly. The boy finally spoke. It was them, the girl, and her dog. They helped me. Anna looked down shyly, but Buddy stood tall, tail wagging, as if proud to be called out. The parents shook Kevin's hand and knelt beside Buddy. "Thank you, all of you." Nibbles, not wanting to be left out, popped out of the jacket again and chirped twice. The boy laughed, finally smiling. Later that evening, Anna sat beside Buddy under their favorite tree. "You knew it wasn't anything dangerous, didn't you?" she asked. Buddy gently rested his head in her lap and closed his eyes. And Nibbles? He curled up on Buddy's back, tail flicking once, before he dozed off. The sun dipped low, but the park patrol stood ready, watchful and brave. It was Saturday morning when Anna woke up to a sound she loved most, Buddy's tail thumping against her bedroom door. But today wasn't a patrol day in the park. "Buddy," Anna whispered with a grin, "guess what? We're going on a city trip today." Kevin stepped in, holding Buddy's service vest, dark blue with a patch that read Community Support Companion. He'd spoken with the city and arranged a special supervised ride for Buddy, just this once. "Today," Kevin said, "the adventure starts with a bus ride." The bus stop was a block from their home. People turned and smiled as Anna and Buddy stepped up, Nibbles poking out from her backpack like a tiny co-pilot. The driver chuckled. "Well, if that dog doesn't look smarter than most people I know." Buddy sat proudly, tail wagging, while Anna took the window seat. As the city rolled past, shops, fountains, pigeons, and street musicians, Buddy stayed calm and alert, occasionally glancing up at Anna like he was memorizing every sight. Their stop was the edge of the Whispering Woods, an old patch of forest just outside the city. Anna's friend Lucas had called the night before, worried. "Something's happening out there," he had said. "My grandma swears she heard voices coming from the woods, but there's no one living out there anymore." Of course, Anna and Buddy couldn't ignore a mystery. The woods were quiet at first. Too quiet. Leaves rustled high above. No birds, no squirrels. Even Nibbles stayed tucked in. "Buddy," Anna whispered, "do you hear that?" It was faint, a sound like whispering, but not words. Rustling, tapping, a strange pattern. Tap, tap, pause. Tap, tap, tap. Buddy began walking, slow and steady, toward an old log cabin near the trail's end. It had long been abandoned. But now, the front door was slightly open. Anna hesitated. "Should we—" Buddy stepped forward. Inside, dust floated in beams of light. The sound grew louder. Tap, 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 tap. Then suddenly, out leapt a blur of black and white fur. Anna gasped and stumbled back. It was a raccoon, wearing a neon green collar, and it wasn't alone. 3 more emerged from a pile of old boxes, each with a collar. In the corner sat a metal crate labeled Animal Rescue Center. Kevin entered behind them. "I think we found the source of the whispering," he said, smiling. "This must have been a temporary wildlife station, and someone left the emergency signal box on." They contacted Animal Services. Within minutes, rangers arrived, laughing at the situation. "You're telling me the Great Whispering Woods mystery was a bunch of bored raccoons tapping their food box?" Buddy barked once, wagging his tail like he'd solved the world's greatest case. The ranger knelt down. "You, sir, are one observant pup, and your partner's not bad either." On the bus ride home, Anna leaned her head on Buddy. "Best city trip ever," she whispered. Buddy rested his head on her lap, tail flicking gently with each bump in the road. And Nibbles? Well, he was curled inside the backpack, snoring softly. It was a day unlike any other. Banners flapped in the breeze, marching bands tuned up their instruments, and balloons danced high above the streets. The city's annual spring parade had arrived, and this year there were 2 very special guests. Anna adjusted Buddy's collar, gently clipping on his community badge. "You ready to march, partner?" she asked, with a grin. Buddy gave a soft woof, his eyes bright, and tail already wagging. They had been invited by the city to lead the children's safety float, a colorful float shaped like a giant first aid kit. Anna, Buddy, and Nibbles, who wore a tiny gold cape today, would walk in front, representing the spirit of bravery, kindness, and smarts. Kevin stood with a camera, snapping proud photos. "You 2 look like superheroes," he said. "Correction," Anna replied. "We are superheroes." The parade began with music and confetti. Children waved from the sidewalks, pointing at Buddy as he trotted beside Anna, proud and steady. Nibbles perched on her shoulder like a squirrel-sized sidekick, occasionally chirping and doing mini salutes to the crowd. Suddenly, as they turned onto Pine Street, something went wrong. One of the larger balloons, shaped like a giant dragon, snapped loose from its tether. The wind caught it hard, sending it spiraling toward the crowd. People gasped. Parents pulled children back. The balloon wobbled dangerously low, directly toward a group of toddlers near the corner. Before anyone could shout, Buddy bolted. "Buddy, wait!" Anna yelled. But Buddy knew what he was doing. He darted through the parade line, weaving between floats, his eyes locked on the flailing balloon string. He reached it just in time. With a sharp leap, He snagged the dangling rope in his teeth and pulled, anchoring it down with his weight. The dragon balloon hovered, wobbled, and finally settled to the ground, its huge head gently pressing against the sidewalk like it was bowing in surrender. The crowd erupted in cheers. Anna rushed to Buddy, wrapped her arms around him, and laughed through happy tears. "You just saved a dozen tiny parade goers," Kevin said as he arrived, clapping Buddy on the back. "You're going to be on the news again, Buddy." Even Nibbles jumped onto Buddy's head and squeaked like he was giving a victory speech. Moments later, a city official brought over a new ribbon, City Hero Special Parade Edition. They pinned it to Buddy's vest and handed Anna a matching badge. "Bravery runs in this team," the mayor said, shaking both their hands. As the parade continued, the crowd's energy doubled. Children chanted Buddy's name, and several squirrels, yes, actual squirrels from the city park, followed behind the float like a tiny marching band of their own. That evening, Anna looked at Buddy under the twinkling lights of the town square. "Just think, last year you were chasing tennis balls, and now you're a hero in a parade." Buddy yawned, then gently licked Anna's cheek. And Nibbles? He was already curled in a cup of popcorn someone left behind, asleep with a smile. The sun had barely risen when Anna noticed something strange. Buddy was lying on his favorite rug by the kitchen door, tail wagging as usual, but something was missing. His community hero collar was gone. She gasped. "Buddy, where's your badge?" Buddy blinked, confused, and looked around like he expected it to be right under his paw. Nibbles peeked out from the cereal box on the counter, chattered nervously, then scampered down to sniff the floor. No collar, no clue. Kevin joined in. "Maybe it slipped off during the parade?" Anna frowned. "It was pinned on. It can't just fall off." And so began the case of the vanishing collar. Anna transformed the living room into mission control, spreading out a city map, pinning photos from yesterday's parade, and scribbling possible routes on her whiteboard. Buddy sat beside her, tail sweeping the floor, clearly invested. Nibbles pulled a toy magnifying glass from his stash and balanced it on his nose. Investigation mode activated. Their first stop, the park. They retraced every step. No collar. Then the bus stop. The driver remembered them. "Oh yeah, you two were the stars yesterday, but no collar seen here." Next, the town square. There, near the fountain, Anna spotted something glinting in the bushes. Her heart jumped, but it was just a soda can tab. She slumped onto a bench. What if someone took it? Just then, a voice piped up. "You mean the fancy collar with a badge on it?" It was Max, the quiet boy from down the block. He stepped forward, holding a dog-eared notebook. "I saw it last night. A raccoon had it. I think it stole it from your yard." Anna blinked. "A raccoon?" "Yeah," Max said. "It was wearing the collar like a crown. It ran off toward the community garden." They followed Max's lead. The garden was calm, flowers blooming, bees humming. But Buddy suddenly froze, nose twitching. He darted behind a compost bin and stopped. There, nestled in a pile of leaves, was the collar, still shiny, still heroic. Next to it sat the same raccoon from the Whispering Woods, staring at them like it expected applause. It waddled off calmly. Mission complete. Anna laughed, eyes misty with relief. "You were a fan all along, weren't you?" she said to the raccoon. She brushed off the collar and gently clipped it back on Buddy, who gave a happy bark and trotted in a circle. "Max," she added, You just helped solve your first neighborhood mystery." Max beamed. "Can I be on the team?" Back home, Kevin made grilled cheese for everyone, even a tiny version for Nibbles. Max sat at the table like he'd always belonged there. That evening, Anna updated the board at Mission Control. Mystery 002, the vanishing collar, case closed, checkmark. New agent added Max Buddy curled at her feet, eyes closing peacefully. And Nibbles? He was fast asleep, on top of the magnifying glass. Thunder rolled across the sky as heavy rain drummed against the windows. Anna pressed her face to the glass, watching the wind whip through the trees. "Looks like the parade sunshine took a break," Kevin said, handing her a mug of cocoa. Buddy sat by the door, ears perked. He didn't mind rain, but something in the air made him uneasy. Nibbles paced the windowsill nervously, occasionally peeking outside like he knew something was wrong. Just then, knock, 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 came a frantic knock at the door. It was Mrs. Carter from 2 houses down. Her voice trembled. "It's Logan. He didn't come home from the community center. I called, but no answer. He was biking alone. I think he tried to take the shortcut through Maple Trail before the storm." Anna's heart sank. Maple Trail was a wooded path behind the park, narrow and winding, and now soaked and slippery. "I'll call the search team," Kevin said. Anna turned to Buddy. "Let's go." She grabbed her flashlight, slipped on her raincoat, and fastened Buddy's collar. Nibbles hopped into her hood with a tiny flashlight in his paws. The wind howled as they reached Maple Trail. Anna's flashlight beam cut through the sheets of rain, but visibility was low. "Logan," she called. "Logan, can you hear me?" No response. But then, Buddy barked, short, sharp, focused. He sniffed the ground and bolted down a narrow path. "Wait up!" Anna shouted, chasing after him, boots squelching in the mud. Minutes passed. Trees creaked, rain pounded, and then Buddy stopped. He barked again, urgently. There, under a bent tree, was Logan, soaked, shivering, and holding his ankle. I fell," he said, voice barely a whisper. "I couldn't move." Anna rushed to him, pulled off her coat, and wrapped it around his shoulders. Buddy lay down beside him, warm and steady, as if saying, "You're safe now." Nibbles crawled into Logan's lap, squeaking gently, trying to make him smile. Back at the trail entrance, Kevin and the rescue team arrived with blankets and lights. When they saw Anna leading Logan out, flanked by Buddy and Nibbles, the crowd erupted in relieved applause. That night, the community held a quiet gathering at the town center. Logan's mom hugged Anna tightly. "You found him. You saved him." Anna shook her head. "Buddy did. I just followed." The mayor pinned another ribbon on Buddy's collar, Storm Sentinel, for courage in the dark, and on Anna's jacket, a patch, Maple Trail Rescuer. As the storm passed and the stars peeked through the clouds, Anna looked at her team. "Looks like we don't need sunshine to be heroes." Buddy nuzzled her gently. Nibbles gave a soggy thumbs up, and across the room, Logan smiled for the first time that day. The rain had passed, but the town still smelled like wet earth and warm stories waiting to be told. Anna, Buddy, and Max were at the town library for Mystery Club Monday. The group had been small at first, just Anna and Buddy, but after the stormy rescue, kids had started joining in. And Max, he'd become the unofficial keeper of clues. Today, Ms. Trish, the librarian, had something special. "I found this old journal tucked behind the encyclopedias," she said, placing a dusty leather book on the table. "It was donated years ago, but look at the last page." Everyone leaned in. On the final page was a strange sequence of letters and numbers. B3, the whisper waits. D7, follow the roots. F1, not all books speak with ink. Max scratched his head. "That's a code." Anna's eyes lit up. "A library code." Buddy gave a quiet bark. Nibbles popped out of her backpack with a magnifying glass. The hunt was on. They headed to section B3, near the poetry shelf. Anna slid a book out, revealing a note taped to the wall. "The stories we bury still grow. Find the tree inside." Max whispered, "That has to mean section D7, plants and botany." They rushed over, giggling as Buddy trotted beside them, tail wagging like he already knew the answer. In D7, Max found a thin green book titled Roots That Remember. Inside, the pages had been hollowed out. In the center was an old key and another note. "Unlock what is never locked. Find the silent storyteller." Anna looked up. The statue in the reading garden. Out back, beneath a towering oak tree, stood an old statue of a woman reading a book, the silent storyteller. It had been there forever, mostly ignored. Anna circled it slowly and found a small keyhole hidden under the folds of the stone book. She inserted the key. Click. The base creaked open. Inside was a wooden box lined with velvet, holding an envelope of faded metal and a photo of a girl with a golden retriever just like Buddy. The letter read, "To the future readers, dreamers, and protectors, once we too solve mysteries in this town. Let your curiosity never fade." The Original Mystery Club, 1956. Anna looked at Buddy. "You're not the first hero here." Buddy wagged his tail as if saying, "But I'm proud to follow their paw prints." That night, they added a new name to the bulletin board in Mission Control. Mystery 003. The library code. Solved legacy discovered. Anna whispered to the photo, "We'll take it from here." And the silent storyteller smiled in the moonlight. It was one of those crisp fall mornings where the air crackled with possibility. Anna, Buddy, Max, and Nibbles were at their usual weekend spot, bench number 6 in the city park, near the duck pond. That bench had become their base, where stories, snacks, and schemes were shared. But today, something felt different. Max was sipping hot chocolate when he noticed something odd. "Hey," he said, tapping the bench leg with his shoe. "There's a blinking light down here." Anna leaned over, squinting. Sure enough, tucked under the metal bench slat was a tiny silver box with a glowing blue light. Buddy growled softly. Nibbles squeaked and pulled out his magnifying lens. Anna carefully removed the box. It had no buttons, just a single port and a note taped to it. For those who listen beyond the noise, Max grinned. This is definitely a mystery. Back at their home, Mission Control, a.k.a. Anna's treehouse, they powered up her dad's old laptop and plugged in the device using an adapter. A loading bar appeared. Then, a robotic voice. "You have found Signal 5. To unlock the rest, follow the echoes. Next signal, where shadows leap at noon." They all looked at each other. Shadows at noon. That could mean the sundial sculpture downtown? Anna said. Buddy barked in agreement. Nibbles put on his detective hat. By lunchtime, they arrived at the Sundial Plaza, surrounded by tall buildings and bustling city sounds. They crouched, looking around the base, and there it was, another small device, taped under the bronze pedestal. This time, the voice said, "You're getting close." The final message, hides where stories begin again. Max blinked. Wait, stories begin again? Could that mean the return bin at the library? Back to the library they dashed. Sure enough, inside the return bin was a padded envelope labeled Signal 1, Final Transmission. Inside was a flash drive. Back at the treehouse, they inserted it, and a video started to play. It showed a man, middle-aged, kind eyes. If you're watching this, you've solved what most overlook. I was once part of the Mystery Club 1956. I left these clues in hopes someone curious enough would find them. Congratulations. The video showed him placing medals in a small wooden box. You've earned your place in our story now. Anna sat back, stunned. He planted these just for us to find. Max added, It's like a passing of the torch. Buddy gently placed a paw on the flash drive. Nibbles saluted dramatically. They added another tag to their board. Mystery 004, the signal cracked and complete. Legacy continued. As the sun dipped below the rooftops, the four sat in quiet pride. They weren't just solving mysteries now. They were becoming part of one that had started long before they were born. The old warehouse on 3rd and Pine had always been part of the neighborhood's charm. Its crumbling bricks and arched windows held stories of the past, but what made it special was the giant mural that once covered its side, a swirl of colors showing the town's history, painted by the mysterious local artist known only as Lazo. And this morning, that mural was gone. Anna stood with Max, Buddy, and Nibbles, staring at the now blank wall. The paint had been carefully removed, not vandalized, but almost surgically erased. That mural's been here since my mom was a kid, Max said quietly. Anna noticed something odd. The corner of the wall still had a single paint swirl, a red spiral with a gold dot in the center. Buddy barked once. Nibbles pointed at it with a paintbrush he'd picked up from the ground. They took a photo and headed to the library to dig deeper into Lazo's work. Ms. Trish helped them pull old newspapers and art journals. Turns out Lazo vanished 20 years ago, right after finishing the mural. But in an interview before he disappeared, he'd said, "Art is meant to be found twice, once with eyes, once with heart." Max whispered, "Maybe the mural's still out there. Somehow." Anna looked closer at the photo they took. That spiral wasn't random. It matched a symbol she'd seen before, on the community garden's shed door. They raced there. The spiral on the shed was painted years ago, and behind the door was a dusty canvas rolled and tied. When they opened it, they gasped. Inside was a piece of the original mural, with a message scrawled on the back. "To the ones who still see what others overlook." I trusted the wrong hands once. This time, I hide my art not to protect it, but to protect you. There were coordinates. They followed the trail across the city to a quiet underpass. There, in golden sunset light, was the entire mural, repainted, brighter, more alive than ever, hidden but safe. And standing in front of it was an older man with a paint-splattered jacket, painting the final stroke. He turned and smiled. "You found me." It was Lazo. He explained how, years ago, developers tried to erase his work. He protected it by hiding it in layers, waiting for the right eyes. "You four," he said, "reminded me that not all hope fades with time." He handed Anna a fresh paintbrush. "Add something new? Make it yours too?" Anna dipped it in blue and painted a golden retriever with bright eyes, and next to it a tiny squirrel with a red cape. They named the new edition Guardians of the Mural. That night, under the underpass lights, music played as the community gathered around the rediscovered art. And Buddy, he got another medal, Art Guardian, for seeing beyond the brushstrokes. The flea market on Rosewood Lane was filled with odd treasures, vintage toys, rusted bike bells, and clocks that hadn't ticked in years. Anna loved coming here with her dad. But today, she and Buddy came with Max and Nibbles, each with $5 and a mission to find something mysterious. They didn't expect to stumble upon something otherworldly. Max found a chessboard missing all the pawns. Nibbles bartered for a tiny monocle. But it was Anna who spotted the strange object, a silver pocket watch, its glass face slightly cracked, sitting in a velvet-lined box. The vendor, an elderly woman with silver braids, smiled when Anna picked it up. "It ticks backward," she whispered, "and only for the right hands." Buddy barked once. Anna's fingers curled around the watch. It was cold, then suddenly warm. As they walked away, the watch began to tick, in reverse. Tick, tick, tick. Back at the treehouse, Max examined the gears while Nibbles held a flashlight. They discovered tiny initials carved inside. E.C., 1945. Anna Googled it. An old article popped up. Inventor Elijah Cormack disappears after unveiling prototype that defied time flow. Last seen in Willowbrook? "That's here," Max gasped. "That's our town." And under the article was an image of the very same watch. That night, the ticking grew louder. At 8:06 p.m., the watch stopped. Anna looked up, and something changed. Their lanterns dimmed. The air shimmered. Out of the mist appeared a young man in suspenders and around glasses, standing just outside the treehouse. "Is this still Willowbrook?" he asked, voice shaky. "What year is it?" Anna stepped forward. 2025. He paled. "Oh, no." He introduced himself. Eli Cormack, inventor and accidental time traveler. The watch had glitched during testing in 1945, pulling him forward, but keeping him lost. Buddy sniffed Eli's coat and wagged his tail in approval. Nibbles offered the monocle. With the kids' help, Eli tinkered with the watch all night, guided by reverse blueprints stored in the flash drive from their last mystery. Just before dawn, he stood under the treehouse hatch, ready. "I must go back and make sure I never lose track of time, or myself," he said with a smile. "But before I go," he handed Anna a second watch, blank, unwound. "This one moves forward. It's for you. Time doesn't just tick, it tells stories." With a final shimmer and ticking heartbeat, Eli vanished into the morning mist. They logged their latest case. Mystery 005. The backward watch. Resolved, but not forgotten. Time doesn't always wait, but sometimes it listens. Anna wound the new watch and smiled. The hands ticked forward. Slow, steady, and true. It started with a letter. Not an email, not a text. A handwritten letter slipped into Anna's mailbox with no return address. The envelope was sealed with red wax, pressed with a paw-shaped emblem. Inside was a message, written in careful cursive. "You've been watched. You've been tested. Now it's time to choose." Midnight, the old clock tower. Underneath, a paw print pressed in gold ink. Anna stared at it, stunned. Buddy let out a low, thoughtful growl. Nibbles climbed onto her shoulder, eyes wide with curiosity. Max arrived with his backpack of gadgets. "No way we're skipping this," he said. At 11:45 p.m., they arrived at the old Willowbrook clock tower, long closed and wrapped in ivy. The great iron gates creaked open by themselves. Inside, the tower was lit by candles in glass lanterns. The tick of the giant clock above echoed like a heartbeat. They climbed the winding stairs to the top, hearts racing. There, in the center of the room, was a large circular stone table carved with scenes of animals in armor, squirrels with scrolls, dogs with shields, owls with glowing eyes. And in the center, a golden collar, just Buddy's size. From the shadows stepped a figure in a dark robe with the paw crest stitched over the heart. A woman, kind eyes, strong voice. You've solved riddles, found truth in stories, and guarded what matters most, not with force, but with heart. She turned to Buddy and bowed. And you, noble one, you carry the mark of the hidden paw, the lineage of guardians sworn to protect the balance between the known and the forgotten. Anna gasped. You mean Buddy's not just a smart dog? The woman smiled. He's more than you know. But he chose you. That's what matters. The stone table shifted, revealing 6 old journals, each with a child's name inscribed. Anna, Maximum, Nibbles, Buddy, 2 others. Blank. You're the next generation of protectors, the woman said. The order lives on through you now. Buddy stepped forward. The collar levitated gently, encircling his neck. It shimmered, then disappeared, absorbed into his golden fur, like a glow beneath the skin. The bell struck midnight. The walls faded into starlight. For a moment, they weren't in Willowbrook anymore. They were standing on a mountaintop, wind in their hair, stars swirling above them. A vision, a promise. Then, just like that, they were back in the tower. No sign of the woman, no stone table, just a single symbol etched into the floor, a golden paw print encircled in stars. The next morning, the kids returned home. Everything looked normal. Except now. Anna could sense things, faint glimmers in people's hearts, unspoken fears, hidden hopes. And Buddy, he just wagged his tail, but with a wisdom in his eyes that felt like ancient stories waiting to be told. They updated their journal. Mystery 006. The hidden paw initiated. The story's not over. It's only just begun. And under that, a single line written in red. Guardians of Wonder. Code PAW.